the Boundless Authenticity Podcast.
Hi everyone, this is Jahan from Boundless Authenticity. I've switched podcast hosting from Spreaker to Podbean, and all episodes are now available for streaming at boundlessauthenticity.podbean.com. Thank you so much for your support. It means the world. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you never miss an episode. Thanks for tuning in to the Boundless Authenticity Podcast. You know what to do. Don't hesitate. Like that damn thing. Press it. Anyways, we got a return guest, RJ Fisher. RJ Fisher works within the prison system as a writer, qualitative researcher, and motivational speaker exploring the why behind crime, trauma, and transformation. RJ holds a degree in criminal justice from Penn State, studied urban ministry at Moody Bible Institute, and has worked in the fields of urban solutions, archaeology, and mental health. You can find RJ at girlthatgotout.com and Instagram at girlthatgotout. And today, RJ ain't getting out of nowhere because now she's in the hot seat.
Great. Wonderful.
So how's things been going?
Things have been actually kind of rough this past month. I don't know. I like the vulnerability theme that you suggested. And to be vulnerable, things have been kind of hard. Life has been good. Life has been pretty normal, but I recently just lost my stepmother to cancer. She passed away a couple weeks ago. And I also had to do some things with the court system and go before the parole board and talk to them about my case and things like that. So I had to dig up a lot of past, just to pass the story and a lot of fear. I had to deal with a lot of fear, and it's been a heavy month, and now the holidays are coming, and it's a lot, you know?
Yeah, well, I'm sorry to hear about your stepmom.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's rough stuff. Maybe my intuition was right then, because I just really felt compelled to talk about grief with you for one reason or another.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty spot on too. I was like, oh, okay. Like, yeah, it's crazy how, so, being in this field and trying to help people and trying to talk about trauma and do trauma healing with people, you can get kind of once where you think, you just kind of think how to do things. And you're so used to telling people that whenever you come into these moments where your mind is just shutting down, or you're just trying to work it, and all the answers, but you're still just shutting down. It's just still the process. It's super, and it kind of just makes you question a lot in life, and kind of makes you question about where you're going with it. I guess, I kind of wanted to ask you about it too, because I know that you do counseling and you do all this work with people. What happens when you are overwhelmed or you're frustrated? Like, how do you maneuver through that? Because you're still human, even though you're helping people and you're coaching and you're guiding people. Like, how do you, I guess, I'll turn it around on you.
And I haven't even asked you a question yet.
Sorry, my bad.
Oh, damn. Hey, everyone. This is RJ. She's super chill and asks questions. Really, I think that maybe just based on my life experience, that there are fundamental differences between people based on gender, culture, what role they play in their family system and all that, with how they deal with grief. I am kind of like that warrior archetype where I plow straight through stuff. If something's a challenge, I'm like, okay, this freaking sucks, but I am that bitch. And then all of a sudden I just transform a lot of pain and frustration into movement. And as I'm going through that process, I'm very hyper aware of the things that want to make me stop and break down and, be sad and mope around and things like that. And I usually get right on it as soon as it comes up. And I try to figure out, okay, so what is your purpose for being here? Hello, emotion. What are you trying to tell me? And then I usually start there. And then there's no 5-step blueprint for dealing with it after.
Right.
It just goes whatever direction that it goes in. And I don't fight with it. I still channel most of my frustration into doing stuff because I do believe like anger is meant to be a motivating force. Or if I feel like I just need to stop because the grief has really punched me in the face, for example. Recently, within the last year, my partner's grandfather passed away, and her father died when she was 10. But even though he's been gone all this time, we've come together, and he's been like a huge part of my life, even though he's dead and I never even met him. And then her grandfather was like her father, and he was a huge part of my life too, just by, association. And that was hard to deal with, but her grief was something that I had to learn to hold as well and walk with her on that path. So grief comes in different forms. That's where I was going with that point. And someone else that's close to you that is like, she's like literally my other half. I'm only 50% talking to you right now. Right. Right. Like when she feels anything, I feel it, but that was hard. And it kind of just fell into my lap. And I was like, wow, I have no idea how I'm supposed to support her and process whatever new emotion this is, right? Because we've only got like a few descriptions, anger and sadness and grief, but then they don't go into these categories that you cannot possibly quantify or categorize or give a name to, these new emotions form around things. So I think sometimes stuff just happens and you realize that you really can't outrun it. You have to face it head on. So I'm glad that my personality is, I'm just going to question this as much as I can and not even stay within the realm of what's comfortable. Because I know that the sooner I break it, the sooner it will go away, or I can make some kind of helpful meaning out of it. I hope that answers your question.
It did. That was really good. My dad, he's like that, and maybe it's a male response. I don't know, but he just pushes through it. He just keeps on going, and it's cool. It's inspiring. It's neat to see it. But yeah, he pulls right through it, and I know that his heart's breaking, but I know that he just keeps on busy. Like he deals with the emotions, but he doesn't just sit around idle for it. And I see it helping him move through the grief. And it's how grief hits at different times too, where everything's normal. You're going through a normal day, and then just something reminds you, or something just hits you, and it's just the oddest times. I find grief to be so odd, because at the times you think you should be crying, you're not crying. And then it's just such a weird thing, but it's just what it is. It's the process.
What sucks is when you see something or smell something and all of a sudden you think of that person. And it's like, wow, I wouldn't even have thought of that person if they were alive. But just because my mind knows that they're gone, now I process this. And
I was planning Thanksgiving dinner, and she always brought cranberry jello, and I grabbed my phone to text her, and I was like, she's not, and then you just start scrolling, and it's just weird how.
When my birthday came around, I remembered that his favorite cake is peanut butter cake, right? So I was like, you know what? Somebody's only dead when you let their memory fade away, And the more stuff you can do to keep that person alive, the better it is. And you can turn that grief into something transformative. So I've decided that, from my last birthday onward, every birthday I'm going to have peanut butter cake just for him, and that kind of made everybody happy, which was a big deal,
Yeah, that's deep. It's significant.
So I talked about having a realization that maybe I couldn't outrun it, but have you had any moments in dealing with this where you realize that I really can't run away from this thing?
I mean, I've experienced a fair amount of death in my life, so I'm pretty familiar with I think what kind of caught me with the whole entourage of emotions over the past month was I was depending really heavily on the people in my life, and I was depending really heavily on my significant to kind of fix that emotional part of me that was grieving. And humans can only do so much. They can be there for you and they can support you and they can walk through it with you, but you also have you have your inner wounds, your inner past, you have all your inner stuff that if you don't recognize it and you don't know what you're self going through, they can't help you. And it, like, I guess I kind of found myself feeling like, I wanted more from the people around me, that I felt that, they should be giving to me more, like, emotionally. And, so I kind of broke down the one night. I saw a video. Somebody had posted a little video and they said that, when where you're frustrated at in your relationship or with anybody, if you look at it and you ask yourself why you're frustrated and what feelings it's causing you, you can almost find out that it's not them that's bothering you. It's something in your past or something in yourself that's bothering you, that they're just drawing out. Like, they're reminding you of it. And so I thought to myself, and I was like, what's causing this emotional reaction in me? What's going on? So I got my old buddy ChatGPT. And I said, this is how I'm feeling. And I don't think that it's anybody else's fault. I think it's something in me. And it just started breaking down and kind of giving me options and just being, how are you feeling? And like picking an option and then just going down the road. And it ended up kind of diving deep into a little bit of shadow work, which I wasn't really planning on getting into. But it dove into an abandonment wound from my childhood, which I was never actually abandoned as a child. And so that one keeps coming up. And I just thought, that's odd. I don't know why that comes up. And the more I dug into it, on our last episode, I had mentioned that my brothers had taken me out into the woods and left me there. And it all kind of went back to that moment as a child, standing there, knowing that somebody left you there on purpose. Like, somebody that you loved, somebody that you were close to, didn't want you, and they just left you there. And that's where the abandonment came from. And then as I kept going further with it, it asked me, it said, think back to being that child. What did you want in that moment? Like, what did you want? What were you feeling? And you just wanted to be found, is what came out. Like, I just wanted to be found in that moment. And it just said, if you go to that moment as your adult self and you walk up to that and you just put your arms around it and you just say, I got you. I'm here. I found you. And, I bawled like a baby. And it's so simple. And a lot of people will look at it and just be like, it's a typical, I looked at it and I was just like, it's what siblings do. You pick on each other, like, it's no big deal. We laugh about it as a family now. But to realize that just was a core moment, it was a core foundational block in my soul, in my heart, that carried afterwards, where I get this fear that if I'm not emotionally strong, if I'm not the one that's there, if I'm not the one that's like got it together, they're going to walk away. They're going to like me. So it just turned into this whole thing. And that was kind of my awakening this month, working through my grief, was saying, I need to deal with my own emotions and not put it on other people. I need to sort out like where I'm breaking.
Yeah, sharing time, I guess, on my part. As you were talking, I was thinking about how in my family, so my mother and my father and my sister were as toxic as it could be. And I always kind of felt like I was born in the wrong family. Fortunately, I had my grandfather and my grandmother who loved me more than anything else and really filled in the gaps for me as to what a non-toxic love should be like, what being cared for.
Yeah.
Like, for my parents, everything was about them. My grandfather passed when I was 17 and my grandmother passed when I was 8. And in both of those instances, I felt incredibly alone because I knew I was now stuck with 3 people that just don't care about anyone else except for themselves. And they all kind of made the deaths about them. Everyone else in my family made it all about them. Nothing happened in the other person's experience. You know, they just died, but like everything was about them. And at 8 years old, and then again at 17, I found myself having to be this pillar that everybody leaned on. So I never processed my own emotions thoroughly enough. And I think I went through a large portion of my life from 8 years old on to about 17, not acknowledging what had actually happened, in a state of shock almost. So by the time I was about 18, I was burnt out on carrying everybody else's stuff. I had my own stuff to deal with. My father was an alcoholic. He was verbally abusive. And I'm talking about like repetitive stuff he would say. And a lot of that stuff had already burrowed itself into my brain. And I just didn't feel like I had anything left to give anyone else. Like I didn't feel like I could hold the whole family system up on my own. But I also had a weird sense of obligation because I remember my grandfather grabbed my hand the last week that he was alive. And he was like, promise me that you're going to look after the family. Right? Like he's like, you're you're the only one that can do it. You know, you're the only one that gets it. And I was like, what does that even mean, Granddad? Like,
that's a heavy burden. That's like, can you not leave me with that?
Can we just talk about something else, please?
Right.
So a lot of that then fed into my teenage drama and addiction cycles, I think, not knowing how to process it, because the only 2 people that ever really talked to me in an honoring way were gone, you know, and I didn't know what to deal with, you know, how to deal with that. And it took me half of my 20s to learn that there were different forms of vulnerability that I had to kind of pour myself into the cracks of, so to speak, and just let it settle and be brave enough to go against the boys don't cry thing and get it out, you know? And I realized that drinking wasn't doing anything anymore. And I had already tried to commit suicide like 3 different times by the time I was 23.
Holy.
And I heard myself say, Jesus Christ, I can't even kill myself right. So when I heard myself say that, I actually had a huge release. Like I bawled for like an hour or something like that.
Yeah.
I had a complete time distortion. And when I was done, it was like so much energy had left my body that I kind of laid there like the potato skin that fell out of the garbage dump. You know?
Yep, that's how it feels. Yep.
And I realized after that whatever that was, I need to figure out how to get there a little bit faster and a little bit less dramatic, maybe in stages. Empty the cup a few drops at a time, or, you know, I'm not going to get anywhere. But I decided in that moment to take full responsibility for everything and try to journal and meditate and learn about my emotions and things like that. And I think that was my awakening process, if you want to be cliche about it, you know?
Yeah.
So I could ask you, you know, what forms of vulnerability felt the most uncomfortable for you, and like how did that become a doorway for you to just step into healing?
I mean, like you said, I'm the kind of person that likes to keep it all in until it's just an explosion, you know, instead of pouring out a little bit at a time. I live in denial of it because I think, like I said, you just get so used to being, you have to be the one that has it together. You know, as a parent, you feel like you have to have it together and or for the people around you. And also, you know, when you're writing books and you're talking to people about trauma, you can't be a person that's like upset. Like you have to know how to do it, you know, and that I'm not okay. It's super hard for me. Like, that's just really hard for me. I can't, you know, I know I'm not okay, but I don't want to say it. And so I just end up keep on going until I crash. And like I said, I was just kind of at my wit's end long ago and just digging into my emotions and to be vulnerable with myself. I had to sit myself down by myself and just be like purposeful and just be like, what are you feeling? Where is it coming from? What is going on? And that's when it all fell apart. But being honest with myself that I need help, I'm not okay. That's my doorway. That's my threshold, is to just say that like it's okay. Like I'm not okay. I'm still growing. I'm still learning. I'm still I get fresh because I want to be this, warrior, and I want to be this leader, and I want to, go out and speak to people, and I want to change lives and do all these great things. And then I look at myself, figured out all of your aspects. I haven't figured myself out yet. And I think I get so frustrated about that. And that's being completely vulnerable right now saying that, because there's just days when my body crashes and I just don't want to have anything to do with anybody, or I feel frustrated with humanity, or so it seems like I just feel like I am called to lift people up. And then I just think in my head, I have that voice in my head that's just like, you can't do that. What are you doing? Like, like you're not a professional, or you don't know what you're talking about. And it's taking down that facade and just being real and just being true and just saying like, we're all going through this and this is how far I am and I can help you get to this point. And then I'm going to keep on learning from people who are even further than I am,
Well, I know we just said a whole bunch of stuff, but what internal beliefs do you feel you've had to dismantle in the past to kind of move out of, I don't know, I don't want to call it survival mode, but to just move towards actually transforming?
So there were two that were ingrained in me as a child. One was that I'm worthless. Was a big one. I was told that, and the behavior kind of backed that up. And I just internalized that most of my late 20s. I internalized that. So I was always trying to be worthy of the people that I was with. I was always trying, like I said, trying to overachieve, trying to be successful, and realizing that I don't have to prove myself to anybody, that I am worth. And that the people that were saying that I was worthless are just weak people when they were actually intimidated by me and were just trying to keep me down. And once you realize like it kind of flips the script and you're like, oh, okay. And I'm amazing, but it just means I'm okay. Like I'm good. I'm okay. I'm worth love. I'm worth a good life. I lived a lot of my life thinking that I didn't deserve a good life. So I put up with a lot of things, any situations that I should have, because I just thought, since I'm such a, I'm not worth anything, I'm not incredible in any way, that I don't deserve anything good. Like I kind of just believed that I was here for everybody else's life better. And that sounds kind of beautiful and like martyristic, but they put me in a lot of situations and it ended up not helping others. I wasn't being true. I wasn't being honest with myself and what I needed. And the other one was stupidity. So I was homeschooled, and by the time I got to high school, I was told that I better find a rich husband because that was all I'd ever be good at. Like that I was too stupid to go to college. I was too stupid to do anything really with my life. I didn't learn algebra. I got to high school, I didn't learn anything after that. I would just get handed books and I would have to figure it out. So I'm a proud person, and I was like I said, that overachieving thing. And I was like, I'm going to college and I'm going to prove myself. And so I went to college, and I did have a hard time learning. I have a very hard time focusing my mind on things. Like I'll have to read the same paragraph over and over and over. Through that whole process, I found out that I wasn't stupid, that I actually could learn. And that was a whole eye-opening thing, because it sounds like you're dumb. and that you can't learn, you don't want to put that effort in, like you just literally think that you can't be anything. And when I look back, I wish that I had been more aware of like learning, because I love the medical field and things like that. And it would have been cool to have been like a doctor or something like that. But just those two things, self-worth, and intelligence. I didn't think I had either of those just from eyes. And once I turned that around, I gained so much confidence that, here I am talking to people, I am helping people and stuff like that. And I am living the life that I want to live. Like, I have my house, I have my children, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I understand how that feels. Went through that with my father as well, too. Kind of said the stuff to me that he thought about himself, I guess. And he would always be like, oh, you think that you're smart because you're going to a good school. You think that just because you can play the guitar, that's going to make you into somebody. And like, he was very a jealous person. He was jealous of me in a huge way. But sooner or later, I figured out that, that wasn't my responsibility to really deal with his ignorance. And actually, he died in July of 2021. And I had no grief about it whatsoever, because I spent my entire life wanting a relationship with a fool that wasn't prepared to do anything to bridge, I guess, form a bond with me in any way. He just felt like because he was collecting a paycheck and supporting the family that he did enough, and that he could just be as rough and as disgusting as he wanted to anybody, really.
I was going to ask you, how do you maneuver your adult relationship with your family members that, you've thrown out the things that you grew up with and the things that got inside your head, a relationship with them as an adult, or did you just kind of cut them off? Because several of my brothers just cut my mother off. They don't, because they don't want to deal with that.
It's kind of like the Kenny Rogers thing, isn't it? Like, you got to know when to fold them and when to walk away.
Mm-hmm.
And
yep. I have very set boundaries, and there's things that we will discuss and things we don't. And there's just times that we'll see each other. I'm very mean, really, to be honest, but I like to still maintain that contact. But at the same time, I don't want to affect my life. So
I'm very open about it. So I'll tell you that where my father was concerned, I kind of was in transition to something around the time that I decided I wanted to get him out of my life, because he never had anything positive or supportive to say. Every accomplishment that I ever got, he just kind of ignored it or laughed at it. Or sometimes, like, as a young musician, he would show up at my gigs drunk and like heckle and all kinds of crazy stuff.
Gosh, that's terrible.
He even showed up at one of my gigs one time and like grabbed my girlfriend's ass. It was,
oh my God.
Yeah, he was a super awkward dude.
Yeah.
He showed up to my graduation drunk. And this was like, my graduation actually happened while my grandfather was home dying. Like, he just had a couple of days left in him. And so I had to go over to my grandfather's house, which is right next door to my house. Hug him. He insisted to, like, however far he could reach up, that he would put my tie on for me and tie it and make sure it looked good and everything. And I go from that, show up at my graduation ceremony, and this motherfucker shows up pissing drunk. And the people are like, hey, we can't let you in because you can't show up here drunk. And he starts calling the scene and stuff like that, So I had to deal with that. And that's just to paint a picture of the kind of person that he was. He didn't give a shit about anyone except for himself.
Right.
And I just dealt with a lot of that throughout my entire life. I mean, I was accustomed standing up to him from the time I was about 6 years old. I mean, one time he cornered my mother, was going to beat her or something, and I come running out and I was like, you don't do that. And I ran and I grabbed a frying pan and I was like, no, you ain't doing that.
That's
so
good.
kind of, like I told you, I'm kind of like that warrior archetype. And I've never been really afraid of other people. Biggest thing I'm afraid of is my own temper. And that has worked for me to get through a lot of situations. But fast forward that to about age 23, if things started to open up for me in the way of success and whatnot. So I got the opportunity to travel and, just find myself in other ways that weren't available to me. And I remember I touched down in Nashville, Tennessee, just got home from the airport to where I was staying at. And one of my cousins is like, your father just had a heart attack and he's in the hospital and it's your fault. And I was like, okay,
what is
I can
it?
accept that. So, and that's actually what I said. I said, okay, I can accept that.
Right? Like, all right.
Yeah, everything, all my life, all he's been saying is everything's my fault. I didn't.
Right. That's crazy.
That's the kind of environment that I came from.
Yeah.
So I had the opportunity to actually be away from all of them in a different country altogether. And,
isn't it glorious? It's so nice.
Yeah, that was great for me. Things just worked out great that way. And through years of introspection and just wanting the willingness to go deep and work on stuff and take all of that shit out of my head, I realized I don't actually feel anything for him at all. So fast forward to July 2021, he's in this is how my family is, right? He's in the hospital dying. And they call me an hour before he dies. And they're like, oh, your father's in the hospital dying. I'd like to see you. And I'm like, no. I just,
right?
I don't care. Like, that's the best thing for him. He was never happy. And he's actually better off dead. And there's probably people that are going to want to be like, oh, that's mean or whatever. But
no,
like, that's actually what's best for him. He wasn't for this world. Whatever happened to him, which I found out later what happened to him when he was very young, is that his mother was some kind of a high-class hooker, and they lived in a board and shingle, dilapidated type house, him and his brother and his sister, and they would share a bed. There was no privacy between the three of them. And his mother would bring home various men and they would all have to like huddle in their room while she was just right across from them sleeping with these men for money or whatever. And he had some kind of a caregiver when he was little that was, I used to touch him and stuff like that when he was little. And it was like, he could have said all that stuff to me while he was alive. He just didn't have any desire to take responsibility for it or have a conversation with me about anything.
Right. He could have worked through it. I'm not saying that people can magically heal from all of that, but refusing to grow and refusing to attempt to heal, it frustrates me greatly.
He could have talked.
You can't.
He really could have.
Yeah.
He could have said, hey, son, I had a shitty childhood and, let's talk about it and grow together, but he didn't. And that's his choice. And so I'm saying that because in that instant, I had the opportunity to just cut him off. I had a clean slate to start from. I kept in contact with my mother that whole time, and I still stay in contact with her. But where she's concerned, she's one of these people that is a perpetual victim of life, always has been. Everything's all about how terrible her life is. And I mean, it never made any sense to me because we've been blessed in a lot of ways. Like, we had a lot of stuff just given to us, a lot of stuff that my grandfather worked hard for and acquired. He just gave to us when he passed away. So we never had to want for a roof over our head. And we've always been able to put food on the table and things like that. I just don't know what her freaking problem is. And she acts like her parents were super mean to her and abused her, whatever the case is. And she's got 7 siblings. And all of the other siblings are like, what she's talking about happened with her ain't nothing compared to what happened to us, but we're fine, like we don't.
Right.
So it's just about personal choice and how you want to make sense of life. And she's just a difficult person to be around. So I limit my contact as much as possible. You know, I do what I can, but I now understand on such a deep cellular level that her ignorance isn't my responsibility either. And so when she's being how she is, I'm just like, whatever.
Okay, bye. How do you see that translate into your family now as an adult, like with your own family and stuff like that? Like, obviously you're not the same, you're different and you're doing it differently, but do you see that carry on to like the next generation?
I'm definitely carrying on the best parts of my grandfather and grandmother, the way that they were with me, with these kids. And they're not my biological kids, but they could as well be.
Right.
So I just kind of do what I feel like a man is hardwired to do anyways. You know, I just try to do the best as a leader and love him as much as I can. And my 20s were just so full of questions related to how do I grow into a person that's not that I automatically know now, you know, anytime I feel like something's going in a direction and I want a reference for that, I don't go to my parents. I'd rather just...
Right. Like, what would they do? I'm not going to do that.
Absolutely. So yeah, that's the way it was. And my sister's piece of work too, like I'm pretty convinced that she was taken over by a demon when she was little.
Yeah.
And stuff that my parents have told me, because she is 52 and I'm 38, you know?
Okay. Okay. That's a pretty big gap.
Yeah. So, stuff happened to her too. She was born with some kind of illness that eventually went away and they had to rush her off to Canada to a special hospital and stuff like that.
Okay. Okay.
But you look at the baby pictures and stuff, you just like, this is a mean thing to say, but you just see like a demon baby. Like, you look at this baby and you're like, something ain't right here. But she used to display some real aggressive behavior when she was a kid. She would play school or something like that. This is how the story goes. And she would have this long ruler and she would like beat it against the desk until the ruler broke. And she would be yelling at these imaginary kids. And she had this imaginary friend named Pernicia that
it's a big name.
Tell her to do all these bad things. And I'm like, yeah.
Okay. That is a little sketchy.
Yeah.
That's a little sketchy.
Yeah. I remember even like she'd have a smell like sulfur and stuff. Like when I was a teenager, like she'd always have these really dark circles around her eyes. Like if something was draining the life out of her. I swore she was a vampire for most of my childhood. And she just had this natural inclination towards death and doom and gloom and destruction. She loved horror movies and talking about witchcraft and she loved to see gory stuff, and she was obsessed with like dead bodies and all this real morbid stuff. And so I was like, okay, I got to figure out how to get away from her too at some point. Because a lot of the stuff that she did was overtly manipulative and quite frankly, psychopathic. Yeah. She'd call my friends. She'd look for their parents' names in the phone book and call their house and tell them things about me that weren't true just because she didn't want me to have any friends and crazy stuff.
That's so weird.
She did the same thing to my mother too. It's wild shit. So I'm really open about it. And I don't hide any of that stuff. Like I know what I've come from. The soil I grew in was not good soil.
Now, do you think that is part of like why you've gone the way that you've gone, like with this podcast? One other question. I was just curious, what made you do this podcast? Like why Boundless Authenticity? Like what are you looking for in the podcast?
I set the bar really high with a name like Boundless Authenticity because...
Well, yeah, it's boundless.
What I wanted to bring to...
Any higher.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What I wanted to bring to the world was the idea that everything in this world is fake. Like these fake people that run the world, they implant us with fake beliefs about how the world is, who you should be, what you got to do to get ahead, what good mental health looks like, what family relationships look like, freaking Santa Claus. I mean, from the time you're born, everything's a lie, right? There's no wonder that babies cry when they come into this world because they know and they're like, oh, damn it, I'm back here, you know?
Right.
So how do you find people that are authentic and put that on the internet when the internet's fake too and full of fake people? So it was really just about an idea that I heard in my head because everybody was like, dude, you're so interesting when you talk. You should start a podcast. And I'm like, I don't really want to. And for like 4 years, I was like, I don't really want to do that. And I remember I started doing the first episode and it was a monologue. And I'm like, wow, this is the most effing boring thing I've ever heard in my life. So maybe I should start with some guests, you know? And I started doing it on Instagram Live and I realized that people weren't being themselves on Instagram Live and they were getting distracted by all the comments and stuff. I was like, okay, we can't do this. We got to take this to like a closed circuit and try again. And actually, in some places, there might be remnants of it because it used to be the Boundless Authenticity podcast everywhere you could find it. But then a few of my guests were a little bit more controversial than the internet wanted in 2020. And it got deleted from the internet. No. My first 6 episodes got deleted. So like, that
means you like did something right.
Yeah, I had to start over again as Boundless Authenticity. So it's everywhere that it's found now is like the second iteration of it. So, like,
why do you think they're letting all the conspiracy theorists and all like everybody, not just conspiracy theorists, but they're letting people question things now? And it kind of worries me that they're doing it because before they were so hush hush and before they were just, they were shutting everything down. They didn't want people to talk. But now it's like people are starting to talk and they're not doing it. So it kind of throws me like, I'm like, what are you guys playing? What is the game?
Yeah. So you picked up on that too. They don't have a problem banning me anytime I say anything. Like my social credit score is like -0.
Really? That's hilarious.
They haven't even implemented yet, but I already know I have no credit. Yeah, they banned me back in 2015 or so for saying that I meditated, and I'm pretty sure that I saw a grid above the earth outlining all the countries. And then they were like, oh, Instagram profile deleted. And with no like... I had 8,000 followers back then too. And they were like, oh, no, we're never going to let you get another successful profile again. So, anytime I get like near 4,000, I just see my followers will decrease automatically. I'll come back one day and I'll be like, wait a minute. I was at like 3,985 and now it's at 3,600. Now, like, what's going on here? Like they just remove followers.
That's wild.
Yeah. So
that's wild in itself.
Yeah, once they mark you for life. They know everything, like every device that you have. It's all crazy. Yeah. I'm not sure what your experience with that stuff is, but
not a whole lot yet, just because I'm pretty timid with it so far.
Yeah, the fact that they're giving a lot of people, conspiracy type people especially, their YouTube profiles back is very worrisome.
And the fact that there's documentaries and stuff about things now. And I'm like, how are they letting this slide through where we're allowed? It's like we're allowed to question. And that seems odd to me that there's
layers and levels to it. A lot of these so-called truth tellers and stuff that everybody loves to worship, they're a part of that club too. And that's how come they get talk. Because people like myself, all I do is I ask logical, common sense questions. I'm not really into Freemasonry is evil and all that kind of stuff. I don't really think that while that is a part of it, because I know firsthand people in it and have had experiences with the business aspect of the music industry. And I see how you have Freemasonry and other groups that these people are like the investors and stuff that want to put money into your project and you have to pay them back and different things like that.
Right.
Or it goes a whole lot of different directions. It's not really relevant to say right now, but I know that these things exist. I know that they play a big part in how society is shaped, who's controlling a certain amount of money, et cetera, et cetera. But you don't really even have to go that way to understand what's happening is overt tyranny, right?
Right.
So it is very concerning that this kind of stuff is allowed to a certain degree now, but only certain people. So it's freedom of for some, but not all. And I think, honestly, it's because as we are seeing digital ID and all of this is being implemented and everything's happening so fast, because whatever it is they did in 2020 pissed off a lot of people, and now a lot of people just distrust the government, you know? I think it is as simple as that. And they're like, okay, we gotta lock these mofos down as soon as possible because we have completely lost grip. Right back down to everyone realizing that all the food is poison. That's a big hit to the corporate.
It is, and it's coming out, and people are really, everybody's talking about it. It's a thing, which is finally nice to see. It's like,
and everybody's kind of like, this is why they've done stuff. You have kids. I don't know if they go to school or anything, and if they're dealing with the newfangled food pyramid and stuff like that, where they're actually putting like junk food in one category and saying it's okay that. Hey, this is how desperate they are. They're changing everything and teaching new generations of kids absolute lies. So you look at the health and fitness industry, and everybody's being pitted against each other. One person's a vegan, the other person's a carnivore, the other person's on the keto diet. When anybody that has two brain cells to rub together that work in actual medicine and stuff can tell you, those diets are going to kill you because, you need a balance of all kinds of different things, right? You see people come into the hospital because they're just as B12 deficient on a carnivore diet as they are on a vegan diet. And people get sick and get thyroid issues and stuff from doing the keto and all this. People are passing out on the bus, all this stuff, right? So they've done their best to blur the lines and come up with these fad diets for the sake of fueling corporate greed, essentially. That's what it all boils down to.
It's all money. Just money.
And I think a lot of people are starting to realize that now too. And they're like, well, we don't know what to do. Our healing is totally at us. And the government and, the influencers and all these people, the doctors, they don't know shit about shit. They're screwed. And so if I was in their position, and I'd set up a clearly elaborate scheme to dupe everyone and scam them, I'd probably be running damage control right now too, It'd probably be like, okay, lock the doors. It's like every horror movie ever. The victim starts to get away, and what do? They run and they block the door, right? And they try to lock the door, murder you, right? Sorry if that's triggering for you.
No, it's not. No.
But
no, it's
that's what's going on. So to answer your question,
I'm I have a good friend she's a psychiatrist that I work with, and every time we see each other, we have a new theory. Like that's what she does. Like she'll look into things and learn things and like come up with. She'll be like, this is the thing, and this is the thing, and this is we've been lied about. This they're lying to us about this, or we found this, and I do the same thing, and it's just wild. Just there's so many unanswered questions of so many things that just aren't. And like I said, she's a psychiatrist, so she's intelligent. Like and things just don't add up. They just don't. But we all know that.
There's a really nice lady that walks on the beach with me. Sometimes she's from the UK. She's a psychiatrist, and I just remember walking and talking with her about something incredibly vague, if I'm remembering correctly, just about how people are now. And she was like, and she just blurted out, unfortunately, psychiatry is a big scam. And I'm like, oh, come again.
Right. Right. You're like, what?
Somebody with a PhD in psychiatry.
Yes.
It's a scam. What do you do with that,
Right. Once they start saying it and realize it, it's
Yeah.
Yeah,
Long
it's wild.
story short, she ended up telling me she's just basically still in it because she likes people, and somebody's got to be there to kind of buffer that knows what's up, because a lot of the people around her, they stick their head in the sand. They don't want to actually push against anything, you know? But
that's why I always say you kind of want to stay mediocre, because if you get too much attention, you don't want too much attention. You don't want to be nobody, but you don't want too much attention. You got to like stay right in the middle there.
Absolutely. Yeah. This world loves mediocrity. It rewards mediocrity.
Right? Because they don't want you to step up and do anything or say anything.
Yeah. Just don't be an extraordinary person. And I feel like that's a large part of what schooling was about, at least for our generation.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, everything's out of reach for you, Sonny. Don't do that.
Yep. Yeah. Don't be too much.
Yeah. Just go be a doctor or a lawyer and don't ask any questions, and everything in your life, you know?
Like, you just want a mansion and you want like 5 nice cars, and that's it. That's all you want out of life. And they just feed you that like line, and you're like, wait a second though. Wait a second.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, how did this conversation get so far off the topic of grief? I guess because
we're just chilling and drinking tea.
And well, interestingly enough, I guess for us that are above that generation, that know what it's like to not live in a technocracy and digital enslavement, we're trying to figure out how to stop this train while also simultaneously grieving the past. Yes. I'm telling you, 1991 was peak.
It was. It was wonderful. My littlest one was just saying, I was just explaining to him why he's not allowed to be on the screen all the time. And I said, I was telling him, I don't want his brain to be small. I want him to have big brains. And he was arguing with me, and he was like, well, you had screens. And I was like, they didn't even exist. It's like they did not even exist when we were kids. Like, we did not have tablets or phones or none of that. It was like nothing. I was like, that's why I have such big brains. But he couldn't even fathom that. And it's just so wild to me to think about that. Like you said, we are grieving. I'm grieving the loss of just being kids and being bored and just that, you know, instead of constantly bombarded with all this social craziness all the time. It's like, holy moly. Yeah.
It feels kind of like I'm walking around with a huge lump in my throat waiting for something to happen, because I know all this stuff is going on, and I just run my mouth because that's the only option, you know, like
you don't figure it out. I was just saying the other day that it's kind of like we remember something, but we don't remember what. And that's what it feels like. It feels like we know something, we know, but we just don't remember. Like it's there. and it's like we're just especially our generation, I think, because we do question everything and we want to know. The pieces don't add up, and we see how history is rewritten and how things were changed. And so we're just like, where did we come from? What are we? Like, what is true? What actually happened? Like, why is it not want to, like, why don't they want us to know? Whoever, you know, why was it changed and erased and all that? You know, is it something deep where it's like this entity that doesn't want us to know, or is it just humans just changing things like the telephone game through time, and now nobody knows what it is? You know, it's just that haunting feeling always. So you just feel like there's something right there. It's right there, and you're like, I keep saying it's Atlas. Atlas is coming. We're all gonna jump on. December 19th, I was like, I'm out. I'm peacing out. Then people are like, Atlas probably isn't even real. It's probably not even a thing. They just made it up. And I'm like, well, you know, if it is real, I'm jumping.
100%. The minute you find out it's real, text me. I'm coming.
Right? Get a direct line up there and be like, hey guys, just pick me up.
That would just be like a dream come true. But
absolutely.
You know, the lying goes so deep. Our middle kid's gone to medical school, and they're trying to tell her that a man and a woman have the same bone structure. And I'm like, you got 2 eyes on your head. Can you not see that that's a lie?
Yeah. I mean, some
don't
things
even
are
care
just
if it
what they
affects my
are.
grade. It's just,
Right.
I'm putting the right answer. I don't care.
Yeah. And that's tough. That's tough for them growing up into that, because how do you get through medical, how do you get through medical school and all those classes and maintain that integrity? But at the same time, like, it's so twisted. And my son, he's in college, and he told me that. He said, Mom, we don't even know what we are anymore. Like, it's like my generation just doesn't even know what is up and what is down or anything. Like, it's just such a swirl of misidentity, identity loss. Like, there's just no, that's crazy.
Yeah, it is just too wild. Too wild. Well, where do you want to take this thing? Should we wrap it up?
Yeah, we'll wrap her up.
Well, thanks for another very interesting and great conversation. I was going to say to you that one of the scariest things that has ever happened to me just working with people is that when you ask them about their values, integrity is not in their top 5. And that kind of hurts.
Integrity is almost everything, for real. Because if you can't be true to what you are, who you are, you're just nothing.
Integrity is kind of that thing that props all the other values up, right? And it holds it together.
Absolutely.
You don't
Yes.
have that. Your world is chaos.
Yeah. If you can't be what you are all the time when people aren't looking, then you're just not that. It's fake. Like you were saying, there's so much fakeness out there. Everything is just fake, and people put on fronts for everything. And it's like, just be real. They don't like that though. Even if you are real, the ones that aren't come after you. Like, it's so crazy. It's all crazy.
Yeah. I've always wondered about that. Like, humans just hate the truth.
They do. Because it makes them look ugly. It shows for what they really are. And people don't want to admit that they're selfish and, all that. They don't want to admit it.
Yeah, I did that. That is true. I mean, I've said it, I'm actually getting a little bit burnt out on working with people now, because these days you feel like you're actually having to fight with them for their own healing. They're so complicit with living lies that they don't understand that being radical self-honesty and self-forgiveness and all these different things, you have to engage those steps. You can't just find new ways to live a life. Yeah. And they're like, nope, point me in the direction of the dude that can show me how to do that, because it ain't you. And I'm like,
you're like, oh, okay, bye.
Yeah.
I saw a thing, and I put it up the one day. It says, healing is violent. And I feel like people forget that, like, truth hurts, and digging deep hurts, and being to yourself, it hurts. Like, it's not pleasant. And people get so, I just had an experience today where I'm working with a group of people, and one of the people got super offended because somebody was truthful with them. It was like, you shouldn't do that. In a polite way. They said it politely. They were like, you shouldn't do that. And that person was just like, I'm being attacked and da 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 da. I'm like going off. And it was just like, what are you talking about? Like, nobody's attacking you. Like, they were just being honest with you. They were just saying, hey, don't do that. And I feel like our society is just so big on that right now. Like, everybody's like offended, and it's just like, stop being so, I don't want to say, soft, but stop being so soft. Like, you have to do hard work. You have to feel pain. You have to do that. It's just part of it. It's like, but people don't. As soon as they start hurting or feeling pain in the healing process, they're just out. They're like, I'm out. It's done. See ya.
The way that I think of that many times, not all the time, is that when something gets downloaded into the collective unconscious, if you will, like slang, we're saying the word cool, and it didn't start with us, right?
Right.
But it goes on and on and on. And so if you look what happened at, I don't think it was our generation, but maybe the generation under us, where they were taught by the world controllers in the media to say, I feel attacked, just in jest over things, right? And now that's actually how they behave.
It's actually a thing.
Right? So
like, nobody's attacking you.
Yeah, I feel like that's one way that they do it. They implant us with stuff as fun, and it actually grows and becomes more serious, like a cancer in a way.
Yeah. Hopefully 6'7" won't turn into anything, because I don't know if your kids are running around with the 6'7", but everybody's saying 6'7".
I briefly heard it on the internet and I was like, whatever that is, nope. I turned off my phone.
Nobody knows what it is. It just is.
You know,
I said it's probably some kind of code or something that's like it triggers something.
Tavistock.
Get everybody run around and say it.
You and your psychiatrist friend can go get a book called The Tavistock Institute of Human Relations by Dr. John R. Coleman and jump down that rabbit hole. And you'll see how like social engineering is a real thing. So it could very well be like a bunch of sleepers running around and the wrong person says 6'7", and the next thing you know, boom.
How crazy would that be?
Back when we were kids, it was that stupid ass joke. Why is 6 afraid of 7? Because 7, 8, 9, you know, like that was
right. You're like, whoa, 7, 8, 9.
And we would laugh for hours about it too. What the hell was wrong with us?
Yep. So for whatever reason, those two numbers seem to be important.
Because we didn't have social media, so we actually had a sense of humor.
Yeah, we did, and broke a lot of bones and things like that.
Yeah, we came home dirty at 9:30, and our parents were like, "So, had a good day?" Yep. I
used to be able to run away from home and nobody even noticed. You'd be gone all day, and then you come back and be like, "You missed me?" And they'd be like, "Where were you? We didn't even know you were gone." Like, what?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, RJ, thanks for being on the Boundless Authenticity podcast. We're gonna
thanks
have to
for having me
soon. Yeah, it's been super cool.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, if there's anywhere else or anything else that you want to promote, then now is your chance.
Nope, that's it. That was good.
Julie, nope, don't even bother finding me.
Yeah, don't look for me now. I was talking too much. I don't exist. Go away.
Yeah, we got 100 points off our social credit score. So
I know, right? No, you said it all at the beginning, and it'll be in the info there. So
all right, so that's girlthatgotout.com.
Yep, that's it.
And at Girl That Got Out on Instagram.
Yep.
Thanks again.
Got it. Yeah, thank you.
All right.
You're listening to the Boundless Authenticity podcast, where we discuss everything related to the evolution of human consciousness.
At the very least, people need to understand that the United States builds bunkers, which are basically cities underground, every 3 months.
Basically, when you dream, you tap into your subconscious. It is your nocturnal intuition, your creativity and imagination unchained from conscious reason, ego and logic.
They're biologically alive, but they have no soul. They have AI consciousness. They can alter your conscious of the brain to get the brain.
We live in a multidimensional reality, whether it comes through esoteric information in the spiritual realms or the UFO people, experiencers, or mainstream through quantum physics and through mainstream science now realizing that parallel dimensions probably exist.
We're all spiritual beings. We're all having these human experiences. We've heard that phrase over and over and over. But what does that really mean?
You know, all the big questions of life, we have these answers inside of our souls.
We're ultimately studying the nature of what it is to be human, good and evil, our psychology, how we think, and our health. That's why I love Bruce Lee's great quote, all knowledge is ultimately self-knowledge.
The Boundless Authenticity podcast.